And now on Who's Views, it's time for the latest headlines with JT and the Whotastic panel.
Hello, good evening. Yes, it's Who's Views. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. And your headlines tonight are Season 15 is Thrashing Series 1. And when will they actually start to admit that overnight ratings are important? Helping me to discuss this topic, apart from yourselves in the chat, is Paul and it's Third Doctor Ian. Hi, guys. Oh, say again, hello.
Hi there.
A little bit of delay there. Nice to see you both. And listen, we've got some really fun breaking news for you right now, which I thought we'd start the show off with before we get to the topics of conversation tonight. And this is for you guys in the chat as well, because just tonight, what's the date tonight?
The 18th.
18th.
Yeah.
18th of January. Just tonight on a BBC television show called Pointless, which I'm sure some of you would have heard of, there was a particular question, and you're going to like this. And this is what you need to remember, Who viewers, when anybody says to you, oh, but everybody watched the Chibnall era and everybody loved it. Because a question on Pointless this very night was this: Jodie Whittaker era of Doctor Who. You had to name titles of episodes in the Jodie Whittaker era or the cast of the 2022 episode, The Power of the Doctor. And the result was, in fact, 100 people surveyed didn't manage to name a single Jodie Whittaker episode. I'll just show you those graphics again, everybody. To name titles of the episodes in the Jodie Whittaker era or the cast of the 2022 episode, The Power of the Doctor. That was the question. They surveyed 100 people. And in fact, the 100 people surveyed didn't manage to name a single Jodie Whittaker episode. Enough said.
It's not called Pointless for nothing, is it?
You remember that? Spread it far and wide, everybody. And a huge thank you to Pointless Addict, our very own Badweer, who has been on that show, and he said, "You guess what's just been on the telly?" And I was like, "What?" And he sent me those. So thank you for that, mate. That's absolutely brilliant. Let's just say before we start the topic tonight, let's say hello to everybody that's in the chat, please, if you don't mind, guys. I'd like to also say thank you to Kirsty, who's in the chat, and she's moderating. And if Garbage is in there, I just want to say that because I keep forgetting to say thank you to Kirsty and. and Garbage for that. We've got the timescales saying good morning from San Francisco. It's good morning. Nice to see you. It's nice to see him at the beginning of the show, isn't it, really? Because we usually get him towards the end. So it's lovely to have you here. That's our fault for going at a silly time for the Americans. We've got Teddy, Reggie Rock's channel here. Hiya, Phil. Nice to see you. Peter's here with hello all. TARDIS Spider is here. He's plugging his own videos. How dare you? Right. There's Garbage saying evening, everybody. Thanks, Garbage. Nice to see you. Lovely to see TARDIS Spider in there as well. Yes, HAT. The timescales looking great. Oh, cheers. It's after something. Everybody's after something. Sam is here saying good evening to us. It's lovely to see you as well. Teddy Reggie Rock's asking, have I got the internet back then? Fingers crossed. It's been very, very cold here in my part of Scotland over the last few days. And then one of my internet providers did have problems the other night on our show there. So fingers crossed everything's all right. It's the 21st century. Garbage is saying Pointless. He hates that show.
But I love it now.
Yeah, well, we love it now. Stephen Rogers is laughing at that intro there. Absolutely. TARDIS Spider saying mic drop. Womp, womp, womp. Says Kirsty, whap, whap, whap. Whack, whack, oops. Oh, that's another Sunday morning radio show for Remember Peace. Remember that? Yeah, with Billy. Fabulous. Phil's saying it was hilarious. Timescale says, not surprising. Hasn't it been years since Doctor Who was a TV series and not just a set of specials? Has it? Because I didn't follow any of that, so probably is, isn't it? So there we go. There we go. But I just thought that was great. Thanks again to Bedweer for saying that. Now, Tony. I'd like to say a huge hello and welcome to Tony, who has recently subscribed to us. And thank you so much for that lovely message. I was reading it out before the show to the guys. So glad that you found us. And yes, as I said to you, we do love proper Doctor Who, as I call it. Other people call it classic. I will call it proper, because it is proper Doctor Who. And although we do talk about the version that dares carries its name and that beautiful diamond logo, you'll find that it's all done with humor. And I do love the very cool little picture you've got there as well for you. So thank you. It's lovely to see you, and thanks for subscribing. If you're new to Who's Views as well, thank you for subscribing. Pete's saying, watch you on the panel.
Hello, Peter.
Yeah. So absolutely fabulous. Right. So let's get into and I just want to say hello to Blue Captain Jack as well. Hello, nice to see you all. Thank you all for joining us this evening. It's absolutely wonderful to see you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do subscribe. And go and look at all our fantastic content as Tony did. He found our summer special from last year about the Blackpool exhibition. That was just brilliant, wasn't it? Okay, so I want to get onto the subject this evening, everybody. wicked chuckle because what are we thinking about this? We all know that when was it? It was only last week, wasn't it? It was last week that the fabulous trailer for the forthcoming Blu-ray box set collection of season 15 was announced and released, and this has had a massive impact on fandom, hasn't it, guys? Have you seen this? Have you seen what's going on? Because look at this. Now, this was taken, screen grabbed, as the kids say, screen grab kids. This was screen grabbed at 5 o'clock this very evening. And as you can see, the collection season 15 announcement, Leela versus the Time Lord, 677K. But season 1 from Russell T Davis's new version, 488. And that's been out longer. What's this telling you, gentlemen?
Well, it had it spanked on day one, didn't it?
Say that again, Ian?
It had it spanked on day one, didn't it? It had passed it within a day.
Oh, totally.
It's just continued that trend and really built up a gap. I mean, it just says all that needs to be said, to be honest. Sorry, Paul.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say much the same as what you're saying. It's tanked it, really, and they did it from day one. And it just goes to show there's an appetite for classic Who.
Mm.
Well, it's a huge one, isn't it? I mean, look, we're looking at a 1977 television series, and all the TV series. How often have we been told, everything's supposed to be much better now when it comes to television, and then we get this. We get this trailer, and of course, the trailer we're talking about, of course, is wonderful. We reviewed it on our Merchandise Paradise special last week as well when this was announced. But of course, it stars the wonderful, the fabulous Louise Jameson back in her role on Leela. The character is on Gallifrey. She's towards the end of the Time War. The Daleks are around her, and of course, at the very, very end, she escapes the Time War and returns, of course, to the Fourth Doctor himself. So it's a real magical trailer, but to get this amount of attention, it just screams to me that actually this should be noticed. Surely somebody somewhere in charge of the show should be going, oh, hang on a minute, this isn't going the way we thought it would.
Well, if you compare the trailers in terms of the content as well, this is far more exciting than what we got for season 1, whatever it's called, 1445, whatever it is, and it shows how to put a trailer to tease people. Even though most of us have seen season 15, it's still more exciting than what we got for season 1.
Would you agree with that, Ian?
I would totally agree with that. It's just they are way too far down the road with Gatwa and Russell T Davies, because as we know, they've just literally got the second season in the can filmed already before they've shown the first one. It would take way too long to turn that particular tanker, and there will be people at the BBC who are looking at this and thinking, "Oh, crap! What have we done?" And it's just too late.
Do you really believe that? Because I think they're so arrogant, they won't.
I think there's some people. I don't think it's going to be people anywhere near where it's produced. I think there's got to be some business savvy people there somewhere. There has to be. I mean, they'll have employed them accidentally, because clearly they don't employ common sense people on purpose. But there'll be some people there that have got some business acumen, and they will look at that and think, we have ballsed up in a major way, and it's too late. Because they have, and it is. And like Paul says, we all, well, those of us that have been watching for a long time, we know what that season is like. We know what those stories are like. We know what happens in all of those stories. We know the middle, the beginning, the beginning, the middle, the end. We know all of that, and it is still way more exciting than stuff that we haven't seen yet. I mean,
yeah. Can I add to that? Because I agree with that. I think I feel a bit like I never thought I'd be more excited to see Underworld than a new series of Doctor Who. What does that say to you?
It does say an awful lot when these. I mean, I looked at the ratios of this just only yesterday, and on the season one, which is Ncuti Gatwa, and there's a small controversy going on about this, isn't it? Because they've renamed it season 1, and some of the diehard new Who element don't like that. They want to call it season whatever it is.
But it's like X and Twitter, isn't it? People will call it what they want to call it, and it'll be the original numbering system rather than X or Twitter.
They did that with Eccleston, didn't they? There was a small group that wanted that to be season 27.
Yeah.
So you're always going to get that.
I'm sort of glad it wasn't actually. But anyway, the thumbs up thing on the series one, yes, when I looked yesterday, was 4.6K, but the thumbs down were 4.3. So the ratio is it's there, isn't it, really? It could be more now. I don't know. Before I miss this, I just want to say hello to Doug. Doug is also a new subscriber to Who's Views. Welcome. It's lovely to see you. And thank you for your comments on some of the shows as well. Really appreciate it. But this is his first live stream. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Great channel. Love your coverage of the classic series. A fan since 63. He was 6 years old in 1963. Wow. The perfect age to meet the Doctor. He says he's trying to be optimistic.
Can I ask a question if Doug has seen every episode of Doctor Who, including the missing ones, you swine?
Yeah, let us know, Doug. He says he is trying to be optimistic about New Who, but he takes all our opinions on board. Well, that's good to know. But it's lovely to see you. Thank you very much. And yeah, I mean, this is what we do as fans, isn't it? We talk about it, and yes, we just. I don't know, we get it when we need to. Simon Anthony saying there's nothing wrong with giving fans what they want. This is just so deeply good with loads of backlinks and forward ones. Who wrote this? I don't know. Is that that must be somewhere else. But nice to see you, Simon. That must be in a conversation you're all having in the chat. So thank you. Phil is saying he doesn't like flying Daleks. No, that's fair enough. But yeah, I mean, this whole thing about this. I mean, come on. I am so proud of our show. Of Doctor Who here. I mean, this season, and it already went to number 1. Let's just say that again. Every time they release a season Blu-ray box set, it goes straight to number 1 in all the charts. Now, it might only be there for a couple of weeks or so because something else will come out, like a blockbuster. I say blockbuster Hollywood movie. Those days have gone, haven't they? but you know, something else would usually be there to take over. But at least it's there for a couple of weeks at the top in the Blu-ray chart, in the television chart, in the general. It's fantastic, and this one was the same. It went to number 1 again. It's a huge hit. This must be the only television show as well that can generate number 1 sales. When they re-release the thing as a standard Blu-ray release, they also go to number 1. You know, sometimes when they were starting to release them, Paul, as 2 in the same month, they were fighting for 1 and 2 position. You know, but this is just. I think this is sending. I'm interpreting this as a message to say there's a revival for proper Doctor Who going on, and I wonder if the iPlayers contributed to that.
Yeah. I think maybe right. I was going to say that apparently I heard that Amazon are out of stock. I know if they say that all the time to make it sound more exciting, but if they are out of stock, that's amazing because they don't just get 3 copies of it, do they?
No, they don't. Jack saying Louise Jameson's performance in that trailer was genuinely brilliant. It felt like, well, Doctor Who. Or Russell T Davis has given us more pathetic Docky Who, Jack. Docky Who. No, if somebody ever says that in front of me, you're getting slapped. That's simple as that. You'll get
and you'll be asking for it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And Stephen is saying series 14, season 14, either is better than season 1 for me. Didn't find anything in the Ncuti trailer that was exciting. Now, that's what I'm thinking about. Actually, that's a great point because, as you're saying there, guys, there's nothing in the season 1 trailer for Ncuti, but there's an action-packed stuff coming for. You know, for the season 15. And it's going to be very interesting as well when we get in nearer to May, when they start dropping whatever content they're dropping to announce that Ncuti's first series is starting. Will they do those sorts of things that were very popular to this very day with the Doctor saying, do you want to come with me? You know, because those themes lasted for 5 years, didn't they? Really, those sort of little mini stories.
It's quite sad about the trailer for Shooting Away, because I remember at the end of the Christmas special years gone by, they would show a trailer much like this, but it was more exciting. They gave you more hints of what was going on, and there's nothing to grab you in the season 1 trailer at all. It's like, nah, you know.
Yeah, it's just. I sometimes think
they're problematic, aren't they? So there's nothing in there that's gonna get you excited. There's nothing in there that's anything to do with proper enjoyable Doctor Who.
Yeah. It could well be.
Yeah,
it could well be.
Yeah,
I think that they do themselves a disservice calling it a trailer, because it isn't a trailer. Yeah. It's just sort of a flash in the pan. Look what's coming next thing. A trailer is like what we got for the season Blu-ray. You know, where you get information piled into this and something. I mean, those season collection Blu-rays trailers are proper trailers. They're even better than some of the Hollywood things, for crying out loud, you know. So what we've got there with season 1, they've called it a trailer. So the comparisons in fandom are going to be inevitable, especially when you get more for a series that was first run in 1977.
and you know, we've got to remember as well that in 1977, I think inflation was something in the high teens percent, you know, maybe 16-17%, and the budget for making Doctor Who didn't increase. I think it probably decreased, but the cost of everything in putting those episodes together went sky high, and there were no computers to generate any video effects or anything like that. It was literally old school blue screen, and that was it.
And the talents of the guys in the BBC visual effects, which was created by Doctor Who, and then they got to work on other shows, didn't they?
Well, but even with the tight budget, look at Invisible Enemy, the model shots in that and in Underworld are fantastic.
Oh, they're beautiful. They're beautiful. Actually, that's what sometimes I'm glad that they do these 2 alternative versions. I will always love the proper versions I grew up with, but you do look at the CGI versions, don't you, on some of them? And when we were looking at Ark in Space for our review of Ark in Space over the last few months, I watched the CGI versions. By God, they're dated. But the model shots work. Do you know what I mean, Ian?
Yeah. When they came out, I loved the Ark in Space CGI, and I watched it again just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it really, really, really has dated. But you know what, I do a lot of the time prefer watching the updated effects, because in my mind as a child, as I was at the time watching them, that's how they were, you know, because you weren't there watching it thinking, oh, that's a crap effect, that's polystyrene, that's bubble wrap. I mean, everybody goes on about the bloody bubble wrap for the Wirren, but nobody had seen bubble wrap.
It was brand new, wasn't it?
Brand new. It was a new material.
And it was expensive. The BBC spent money on that bubble wrap.
It's only cost them using the sets twice. They had a bit of cash left.
Yes, well, that's true. That's true. Timescales are saying to us here as well, and this is right. The season 15 collection seems to have already sold out in the UK and was never offered for sale in North America. Wow. Okay.
Disney.
Well, we need to look into why this is. We're going to have to ask questions to see if anybody knows what's going on. I mean, there's something definitely going on, I think, allegedly. And I would like to say hello too. Yes, guess what? Another new subscriber, Cryosync. It is lovely to see you. From my own experience, RTD done a brilliant job enticing old fans back into watching The Star Beast. He did, because I was there as well, mate. But once people saw the content of the special, they checked out. I totally agree with that. Yeah, I was a little bit, not hyped, but I was interested. I was hoping this was going to bring us back into Doctor Who in a way that was family friendly, like the original version of RTD's series. Go back and have a look at our Star Beast review to see what we thought of that one. It's all there for you for those 4 alleged specials. I'm so disappointed, but it's lovely to see you. Thank you for subscribing. And yes, lots of live shows coming up for you to join in with us as well. So it's lovely to see you. Isn't it nice when we get new people coming to join us and giving their opinions?
It's lovely. More the merrier. They're all very welcome.
Absolutely. Here's Alien Airplanes, my friend Alien Airplanes. I'd imagine one of the reasons people are excited is due to nostalgia. Yes. And of course, people absolutely love Tom Baker as the Doctor, which brings the views up high. Yes. But do you think, sorry, Ian, let me just ask Alien Airplanes, it's not the public that's going to watch that, though. Do you think it's the impact, Alien Airplanes, of fans? Even if fans are watching it over and over and over and over, and you know my theories on that, mate, but you know when we're watching that trailer, I've watched the trailer about 10 times myself, and that's not like me. So therefore, we're adding another view to it. It still shows that there's not much interest in the Series 1. Let me know what you think, Alien Airplanes. Sorry, Ian.
No, fine. I was just saying, nostalgia always sells, but then that's one of the reasons why people tuned into Star Beast, because they had nostalgia for what Russell T Davies's Doctor Who used to be like.
Yeah.
You know, it was because that was 2005. So you know, you're looking back a good few years. So it was still, I think, a bit of nostalgia. This is how it used to be, and it wasn't, and that was the disappointment again, I think.
Alien Airplanes is responding to me here. Thank you, mate. It doesn't take away from the fact that both the viewings are good, and the fact that people are excited for Doctor Who at all possibly proves that the show isn't dead. I love the fact that Alien Airplanes is always going to be optimistic about this. I love that optimism because, of course, he knows full well. I'm going to turn around and say, I think this is the beginning of the end. I think it's been on a life support for several years now, thanks to Mr. Chibnall's massive efforts. And I think now it's just on a drip. But time will tell. You never know. We might all be proved wrong come June, July.
As much as I want Shooty to be the next Tom Baker, I can't see that being the case.
No one's going to be the next Tom Baker. It's not going to happen. You wash your mouth out right now.
I take it all back. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean it to be so offensive. I'm sorry.
Oh, you've been told, Paul.
I'm
on the naughty step now. Yeah.
Yes, I'm so offended. Let's have a look. If your old stuff, says Steve, if your old stuff is selling better than the new stuff, then you have a problem. I love the way he's put that, because that's so true. I might actually nick that and put it on one of our posters. And Bedouir is here after his pointless today, and thank you for that for the top of the show, Bedouir. The Fang Rock screening at the BFI sold out immediately once again. Did you get tickets? Did you get your tickets? That shows you as well that there is definitely an appetite for old Doctor Who, but I can't see an appetite for new Doctor Who. Can you two?
No, I can't. No,
I can't see anything that would get people. I mean, and obviously some people are, and we know the demographic that a lot of those are in. But on the whole, no, I don't see anything that's to be excited about.
Well, certainly the evidence from these trailers, and we'll keep an eye on them as well here on Headlines on Who's Views as well, because we're going to be looking at this. And also this sort of stuff is going to be very, very helpful for us when we start reviewing what's to come along in May.
From my previous comment, JT, about Shooty being the next Tom, I'm going to have to watch them, haven't I, as a punishment.
You absolutely are. Tony is saying he hasn't watched since The Timeless Child. Well, at least you got through it. And Simon says, in his day, the trailer makers took all the best bits and ruined it with spoilers. I hope now they've been stopped, so the show is better than the trailer rather than the other way around. You would hope so. But what if your series hasn't got anything good to show? But then again, as I say, we have to remember that thing they showed at Christmas wasn't... Why they called it a trailer? Idiots. They should have just called it a teaser or something. It's not a trailer, really. I bet that when they drop the trailer now, it'd be interesting to see if they do something like season 15 again, or like the Eccleston to Matt Smith ones, where they had those little stories, Run With Me, or the one with Donna was great, wasn't it, where they were around the fire and all that sort of stuff. I think we're going to have to keep an eye on that side of stuff as well, but it's just absolutely weird. Jack is saying here, the term Docky Who is used by fans of the Chibnall and current RTD eras of the show. It's both fittingly annoying and idiotic and separates it from the proper show, which we haven't seen in years. John is also saying here, not a massive fan of season 15, to be honest, but it's okay. Do you know what, mate? I'd rather watch season 15 than anything I saw recently, and I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to do it. And our Phil is saying here, I watched the CGI effects on Time Lash, surprise, because Paul mentioned them last time we were on the show, and he's not a fan of the CGI effects. They'll date quicker than the old ones. I haven't seen those yet. I must look them up. But
you can still see the tinsel, Phil, just to warn you.
The tinsel there. Stephen is saying, thank you for all your comments. I'll try. Okay, season 15 was okay, says Stephen. Fendal and Fang Rock were good. Docky Who sounds like a crap documentary, to be honest. It's a documentary that's probably going to be for a certain set of age groups or ideological youngsters, isn't it? Let's face it. It's probably going to be hidden on BBC Three when no one's watching. Daryl. Bubble wrap was invented in 1957 as wallpaper, but it didn't take off. It wasn't common in the UK until around 1975. Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right, Daryl. Yeah. Totally. What else we got here?
Love his artwork. Love Daryl's artwork.
Oh yes, Daryl.
Absolute.
Actually, Daryl, you'll have to come on and talk to us about your artwork, because it's absolutely fantastic. We'll arrange that. Email me whosviews1@gmail.co.uk. We'll sort it out. It's all in the thing there. And Doug is saying, I agree with updated FX, but dating, but loved updated FX of the Autons. Oh, it's just. I don't know, but I thought this was interesting. This whole thing here about this, because in a sense, we can tie this in with the ongoing discussions, he says, for want of a better word, about the ratings, can't we? You can really, because it's the same. And the other headline I wanted to talk about for everybody that's watching us tonight, as well as Ian and Paul here, is, of course, when are they going to actually say that there's an issue with the ratings and they're maybe not collated properly, and that even the overnights are absolutely on the back? We were talking just a couple of nights ago about the huge hit that is The Gladiators, and I know that we will, on this particular channel, be waiting for the overnights for episode 2, as well as the Consolidateds, because episode 2 is this Saturday. And not that any of you will be watching it live, because you'll all be here for our Tom Baker special at 7 o'clock.
Yes, they will.
It's his 90th birthday on Saturday, and we're having a big party here on the channel, as you probably are aware. But we have now got the Consolidated in, and I wanted just to let you know this, because this is a continuation of our rating show last week. But we do have now the ratings for the huge ITV hit, Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. Now, these have been published, of course, this week, and the consolidated ratings for all episodes have now been revealed. Are you ready for this? Episode 1, over 9 million. Episode 2, over 9 million. Episode 3, over 9 million. Episode 4, over 10 million. Now, they're the Consolidateds, everybody. Look at those figures. And now, bearing in mind that the overnights were very, very successful as well. Very, very successful. Higher than the Church of Ruby Road overnights. Do you see where I'm getting at, everybody? Something is a miss here, because look at these episodes. These were coming in around this. I don't know. We've got this one as well. The series, including the documentary, has had 16.6 million streams so far on ITVX, which is their version of the BBC's iPlayer. It is the biggest drama across all the channels since Line of Duty Series 6 on BBC One in 2021. How much were they telling us the Consolidators pushed the Church of Ruby Road up to?
About 7.5 or something, was it?
Yeah.
Wow. Let's have a look at that again. Really? The biggest drama on ITV. I'm going to say this again. This was a very important drama based on a real factual story, which has now shook Britain to its foundations about several hundred miscarriages of justice in our country. It's a shocking story. If you outside the UK ever get the chance to see Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, I would recommend it. It's a cracking drama based on several real stories. It's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. I just want to show you all as well this. Thanks all for watching us. You are watching Who's Views, but look at this. Mr. Bates versus the Post Office was number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 in the consolidated charts there. Vera comes in at number 5, which is a detective serial starring the wonderful Brenda Blethyn. And Vera only gets 3 episodes a year because it's on for something like 2.5 hours. So it's a lot of filming for the crew there to put these 3 episodes together. And then I'm sure you would have all heard of Call the Midwife on the BBC. It comes in at number 6. The Netflix series Fool Me Once is at number 7. And there's something called the FA Cup. Phil will know about that because he loves football. The Traitors, which is the BBC One show as well, number 9. But look at this. A Fool Me Once series 1, episode 2 on Netflix at number 10. Do you see what I'm trying to get at, people in the chat? There's a lot of you in the chat this evening. Good evening. Thanks for watching Who's Views. It's great to see you. But do you see where I'm going on this? Guys, you have a comment to this while I see what they're all saying in the chat.
Well, I was going to say that I think the drama Mr. Bates versus the Post Office is fantastic. And like you said, it's heartbreaking. But I think because of the topic of it, and it's in the zeitgeist of the public at the moment, I think it really is exceptional because of that. And it's a bloody good drama, don't get me wrong, but that's pushed up the figures even more. And then what would show me as a viewer that if Doctor Who needs to be better for a start anyway, but needs to be pushed a bit more because they've not publicised it enough. If you look at the publicity for this show, it's done brilliantly well, but it's been on the news, it's been a documentary, etc., etc. So it's on constantly. So it's been pushed up by that. And it's a great drama. Like you said, I recommend you watch it if you get a chance to see it.
It's just amazing. Ian, have you seen it yet? Have you caught up with it yet?
I've seen half of the first episode. It was all I had time for. But I mean, I've seen all the correspondence, and obviously I'm familiar with the case and everything. And of course, it's still ongoing for a lot of people, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, they're still hauling people over the coals for it. And it's one of those stories that you think, how can that happen? But then you always get that, don't you? It's like grooming gangs and all the other things. You think, how can that happen? And yet it doesn't. In some areas, still is. And you know, I think it's going to run for a while. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if there was a Mr. Bates series 2 when it gets to the arrests of the people responsible and the end of it and how it all pans out.
Well, it's still going on, isn't it? I mean, it is left open-ended. It's left open-ended with the Mr. Bates character saying, right now we've got to do this. This has been a huge hit for ITV. It's going to be very difficult for anything else the entire year, 2024, to beat this. So it wouldn't surprise me if a series 2 comes up, because we've now got more for them to dramatize as well, because of stuff that's happened today following the dramatization of the TV show. It's incredible. I want to say here hello to Atom Mariables. Nice to see you, mate. And Ecstatic Brick has proven a point here. So more people watch the end than the beginning. Okay, maybe not what I thought. But what I was thinking he was meaning there as well is people started this drama and they went through it. Now, as I said last week, those ratings prove my point, guys. The overnights and the consolidateds. If you make something the public want to see, they will come to it on that night. Gladiators was the same. They wanted to see it. They came to it on that night. So when is the industry and when are fans of Doctor Who especially going to stop telling us that the consolidated, the overnights don't matter, and that the way people watch television has changed? Because these dramas and that entertainment show has proved, no, not necessarily. If it's good, they'll watch it on the night. I can hear Simon fizzing now. He's there, yeah. But what do you think of my point, guys?
I think to be honest, it's just spin. If the 3 so-called specials, and they weren't, were they? If the 3 so-called specials and the Christmas episode had done really, really well, then you can guarantee that the overnights would matter. They would matter a lot. And it's just damage limitation and spin. The fact that they were rubbish and they expected droves of people to be watching it, millions and millions, and actually it was nowhere near what they anticipated. I think they genuinely thought you would be seeing like episode 4 of Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, Scott. They were probably thinking, oh, Tennant's back, 10 million. Oh, Gatwa's coming in, you know, he's gay and black and it's big things. First this, first that, first the other. And we're going to get 10 million again. And they didn't. They didn't get half of that. So overnights didn't matter. If they had, then overnights would have been the best thing since sliced bread. It's just damage limitation and spin, I think.
I think they shot themselves in the foot by calling them specials in the first place. That was a mistake.
Well, yeah, I mean, they weren't. They were just extended episodes, weren't there? There was nothing special about them. Tardy Spider is saying, we've got over 60 people watching us and 6 likes. Hit the like button. It helps. It certainly does. And please also subscribe. It's lovely to see you all. Welcome to Who's Views. This is Headlines. This is the show where we get to moan a bit. And hopefully in a constructive way and have a bit of fun, really, as we're talking about this. We love this one. The rest of the shows generally all love fests, as it happens. But yeah, thank you for that, TARDIS Spider. I hope you're well as well, because TARDIS Spider's been having a few issues recently, so I hope you're all well, mate. Raymond is also agreeing with my point there. If it's good, they will come back. I think this is the thing, Raymond, something I will be remembering as we move forward on the channel towards what's coming from the RTD stable in May. We will be picking up where the Christmas episode left off when it comes to viewers. Will they come back? I don't think they necessarily will. I think it's going to be heading around about the 4 or 5 million mark. What do you think, Raymond? Yeah, you know, it's just one of those things, isn't it? Really, it's a case of like, I've just been proved. I really feel that I've been proved. I've been saying for years now, if it's not good, people won't make an appointment viewing, and they may catch up with it on the iPlayer or whatever it's going to be. They might do. But if it's good, got to sit down there with a cup of tea and a digestive biscuit and watch it there and then. Let's see what happens with Gladiators on Saturday.
It needs to be much watched TV, doesn't it? Otherwise, you're not going to have an audience. You need impact on the night, definitely.
Yeah. Simon's here saying scheduling. Good for Simon. It's always good for. But you know what? The Gladiators is on the same slot as Doctor Who.
Yeah, certainly from the Christmas time they had. Yeah, but the
6
thing about
million overnights.
It's weird though, because I said this before. They're going to put the 8 episodes on in May, early May. So that's the start of British summertime, isn't it? So that's a bad time. They normally used to have, though, if they had more episodes, they'd start in March and then they'd have a run up to that period. They'd still run through into May, maybe June, depending how long they had. But they're starting right in the summer, the spring-summer period, and that's just really a bad time to start.
It's terrible. It really is, because we will start to go out. The pubs will be open. You know, the weather gets back. We're all in beer gardens, surely.
Yeah, hopefully.
You know, Jack is making an interesting point here.
On the big screen.
What?
You know, sometimes in summer, you can be out in the beer garden, and now they've got big screens, and sometimes you watch whatever match is on, or if there's tennis or stuff like that, they put a big game on for some of us, JT.
Yeah.
You know,
well, Ian, I wonder more. Don't go. You put Doctor Who on, you'll get lynched.
Exactly.
They wouldn't allow it on now, would they?
They're not going to be in beer gardens watching Shooty Gatwa. That is
they're not. No. And that ties in with Jack's point. It'll take years to regain the public's interest in Doctor Who again. That's only if they turn the show around completely and ditch the insane direction they've taken the show in, and that's unlikely. It's not going to be, though, is it? I can't see that. We've just had those 3 alleged specials and the Shooty Gatwa thing. And although it wasn't necessarily present in the Christmas one, it was in the others. And I think that's I think it's going to continuing, to be quite honest there. Atom, what are you saying, Atom? Indeed, the overnight is the measure of enthusiasm and excitement. Yeah, that's lovely. Consolidated is sus and is +4 because it's not a clear measure of how they come up with those figures. Only first-time watch should count. Yes, and I've been saying this for ages. I preferred the old measurements of bums on seats on the night. Your first night, like in theatre or the cinema.
Yeah.
You know, what was your first night audience? How many bums on seats came to your television show on the night because you got your marketing right, you got to hold your hard work on promotion right, you got to hold your hard work on actually producing publicity around it, and people came on that particular night. And now it seems in certain shows and with certain people in the industry, it looks like, everything's alleged, but it looks like there's a little bit of apathy there. Oh, don't worry about it because the iPlayer will catch up on it. Not necessarily. And I've always said, Atom, it doesn't work for Doctor Who because you've got a rabid minority of a fan base that will go back and watch it 20 times or more over and over and over again. And we've seen that on Twitter. Oh, I've watched this 20 times, or I've watched this 30 times. It's like a little competition with them all. Yeah. And of course, we also get a certain amount of fans on Twitter, X, who go, oh, that episode hasn't done very well. Everybody get watching it so we can push it up. And then they tell us that ratings don't matter when we do this show. Please.
Well, you just have to look at the DWM Doctor Who Best Episode poll that they did. And there's not anything from the past 5 years in it at all. I think it's certainly the Chimney. There's nothing there at all in the top 10, and I think there's mainly I think it's half and half classic, half new, which is an example to show how bad it's doing in the past 5 years.
Absolutely, and I think it's a case of while I'm aware it won't be the public watching the trailer as much, I think a lot of people for the season 15 trailer who have stopped watching Doctor Who. Whether it be our age group or not, it's irrelevant. I think they wanted to go back and say, oh, there's a season 15 box set. So let's see what they've said about it. Watch the trailer and then continue to watch the trailer as it tells you what's on the box. You know what I'm saying? And they've gone, oh, this is brilliant. This is great. Well, I'm going to buy this and pre-order it. Hence why it got to #1. Because let's face it, that's excellent marketing. Those trailers are now helping the pre-order sales of those box sets to get to #1. So it's obvious that the Blu-ray collection team aren't being complacent in any way, shape or forward. They're putting the work in, and it's good work.
And it's getting better and better every time.
Well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It absolutely is. Blue Captain Jack is saying, should have been event television. It was crap celebration of season 4, not 60 special episodes. And Doug is saying here, the UK ratings don't matter to me. I'm in Australia at the mercy of Disney Plus. Bless you. Yeah. I reckon they will dump Doctor Who after season 2. Well, they've paid for 3?
I think so, 3 or 4, yeah.
Something like that, wasn't it? Yeah, we heard. We haven't had anything confirmed, but we heard the rumours, of course, it was 3 or 4. Time will tell, yeah. And from what we wanted, it was really up front as well with all that. But you know
what you were... Sorry, JT. You know what you were saying about gladiators and things a few minutes ago?
Yes.
It just reminds me of what Phil was saying in the last show. You know, I think one of his, if I remember right, one of his kids had not seen the end, and the next morning wanted to see it, and then they wanted to see more, but there'd only been one episode, so they watched the original episode of the original series. Yeah. So it's captured that age bracket, full family viewing. It's encouraged them to watch the early stuff, and now I guarantee they'll be all around the TV on Saturday, and loads of other families probably will as well. They've absolutely nailed it, and just in the way that Cardiff hasn't.
It's exactly what Doctor Who did when it came back in 2005, and then it grew and grew and grew. And it is going to be interesting to see what the overnights are for Gladiators at the weekend, isn't it? And I'm sure we'll be talking about them again. And I'm also looking forward to seeing the consolidators for episode 1, because if the overnights don't matter and it's always about the playback, I can't wait to see how many people went to watch it on the iPlayer. Because this
10 million for Gladiators, I bet you.
I reckon it's easier.
Can we get ratings again for that, for Gladiators? That'd be great.
We can have big cotton wool buds, can we, to knock each other out on it?
One here still from
Raymond is saying, I think he thinks season 1 will start with 4.5 million overnight and then drop off. Well, when we announce our preview show to season 1, come and let us know that, because that's when we start the ratings game. If you haven't seen the ratings game, go back and see our coverage of the special things, what you want to call it. Simon is saying, I really want to watch it live. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if it's good, if it's good, people will want to as well. And I think that's better for people that work on these things as well, because they get to know that people are watching the show they've done. The team that have done all these shows, Gladiators, Mr. Bates, all those big shows up there, they must be delighted that people actually sat down and watched their shows.
Definitely. What I was going to say was, we mentioned about the Disney longevity or lack of seasons we might get. I reckon there's no way, if Disney dumps Doctor Who, the BBC are not going to touch it, are they? They're going to leave it. It's going to be left to die, isn't it?
Well, I think you're probably right in that speculation. I can't see the BBC wanting to go again immediately. If the series is a flop, they'll leave it for a few years. And then they'll have to think again about what have we got here. But God knows where it's going to end up in the future. This was one of the fears, actually, wasn't it? When we were living through the wilderness years, there were an awful lot of fans around us that were saying, I don't know if I want it to come back. And I get what they were saying now in hindsight, because they were always saying, they'll ruin it. They'll do this with it. They'll do this with it. I don't think any of us foresaw the world we were entering into in the 21st century and where it has gone. But I do think of those people sometimes that used to say, oh, gosh, we don't want it back. Pete's saying, is there any big sports tournaments on in June this year that'll affect Doctor Who? Well, yeah, Wimbledon is, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Wimbledon's on. 2 solid weeks of Wimbledon on the BBC,
Depends when it starts in May as well, because you got the FA Cup final. That's generally second week in May.
Yeah. And we may be having a general election here in May as well. Our Prime Minister at the moment is not committing to the time. He gets 2 opportunities. He can do it in the spring, beginning of the summer, or he can do it in the autumn. I think he's going to do it in the autumn, personally. It looks like he's going to spread this out as long as he possibly can. Kirsty is saying, love my Doctor Who, but beer garden for sports is bliss. Absolutely.
Just beer gardens are nice. That's fine. The sports are take or leave it. Yeah.
And Gary's here saying Euro footy and possible general election will be more important to Joe Public. And so they should be, quite frankly, more than the television show. But you're right, aren't you? They've got that here. What's Tony here saying? It's the overt sexuality of the show that really annoys me. There was none of that in Proper Who. No, there wasn't. And it's something we've talked about on this channel. And we will continue to talk about, because it's just totally alien to the Doctor's nature. And now they've turned him into this disco dancing ninny. I mean, what? I mean, please.
Is that what they're going to call him now? You've got if you go back to the bench of time, you've got the grumpy one and the floated. So that's what Shooty's going to be, the dancing ninny. Is that how you're going to describe him now?
Well, it could be, or either that, or it all just screams flight attendant to me. Listen, thank you very much, everybody, for watching Who's Views. It's lovely to see you. This is Headlines. This is our little headline show. And because there's so many of you here, I'm going to do this. Yeah, the man himself is 90 on Saturday. And as you can see here, we are celebrating his birthday with a hope, with a little bit of panache and style and a lot of fun. Paul and I are here on Friday, tomorrow, with a recorded, just to let you know, it's a recorded review of the classic, The Pescatons. And then the Whotastic panel are all back on Saturday live for our birthday party. So grab your hats and grab your scarves and grab your sonic screwdrivers and come and join us live from 7 o'clock as we celebrate the 4th Doctor, Tom Baker. And that's part 2 of a show that we brought out last week. Last week we talked about stuff outside of Doctor Who. So this Saturday we're going to be talking just purely the 4th Doctor. We want your favourite memories. We want to know if you met him. We want to know your favourite Target books. We want to know if you're a cosplayer. We want to know your favourite episodes. We want to know your favourite lines that we can all quote, probably. We want to know everything. We want to know everything about your favourite memories as we pay homage to the man himself. And then on Sunday, live from 7 o'clock, we'll be here reviewing Shada. Yes, so join us for that. Any variation you want, except the Paul McGann one. Doesn't count. It's got to be Tom. And come and chat to us about what you think about Shada and the story in whichever context. For a story that wasn't finished, it's been finished more times than anything else in the world, hasn't it, really? But there you go. So we'll be talking about that. So come and join us. Don't forget to subscribe to us. And please, yes, do join us for those live shows where we celebrate the man himself. I'm really excited, guys, about those shows. Absolutely. Right. So, yes. Yeah, so this, let's have a look and see if anybody in the chat now is talking about the ratings or anything on the. It's very busy in the chat. My goodness, you're all. Stephen is saying he's got 2 young kids and it's kind of hard to watch things live, so he records it and watch it later when they are in bed. Right? Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, that's good, isn't it? Oh, and Atom is saying he loves Baker. He was my doctor. We're going to be talking about the fact you can't beat Tom.
No.
Yeah.
That's good. Is that where we talk about this, don't we, Paul? He does sing Hello, Dolly.
Hello, Dolly. Yeah.
And Jack saying we want to see the panel's coolest Tom Baker era merchandise. Well, there's a lot of it, and we will be covering some of it on Saturday in a very special Merchandise Paradise Tom Baker flavored episode. So
I've
join
got
us
the
for all
pants
that.
on now just to warn you. Okay.
Well, Pete's telling you to get your Who laser discs out, Madam. Yes, matron. Yeah. So, but anyway, this was Who's Views. It was headlines, and this was us just coming across to you with all this. I just want to point this out again. These were the overnights for Doctor Who for the 3 specials that we had recently: 5.8 for 1, 4.83 for 2. 4.62 for 3 and 4.73 for the Christmas one. The overnight, they consolidated 7.61 for 1, 7.14 for 2, 6.85 for 3, and 7.49 for Christmas. So it jumped. The Christmas one jumped 4.73 to 7.49. And
What's
then
that? About 3 people, is it?
And then this were the consolidated for Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. 7.49. And on that note, while we all go, we will say good evening, won't we, chaps? Thank you so much. What are you saying, Ian?
No, good evening. We always miss your cues, so I didn't want to miss your cue that time, and I went too early.
We will say good evening to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Our Tony still has his Palatoy TARDIS, Cyberman. Yes, the Dennis Fisher ones. Great. Join us on Saturday night because I'm featuring them because they are the Holy Grail. Thanks very much to Garbage and Kirsty again for actually being in the chat and moderating for us. Great job, everybody. Thank you very much. And what's happened there? Those numbers changed quite a bit since first reported. Wow. That's it. And that's what we're here to address. But thank you all for joining us. It's great. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. We will see you. Hopefully, come and join us for our celebration of the legend himself. Tom Baker is 90 this weekend, and we're having a party. You're all invited. From myself, from Paul, and from Third Doctor Ian. We will see you then. Thank you, and see you later. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.